Hello everyone, I am Lissa, and today I am posting my very first booktube video, and it is going to be about one of my favorite books of 2015 so far, and it's Hush by Kelley York. I don't have a paper copy because it is unfortunately out of print, and although I'd love to own a paper copy of this book because it is one of my favorite books that I've read so far this year, I'm not going to pay $35 to get a used copy off of Amazon, so I'm sticking with the ebook copy. So if you can't tell by the cover, which I guess it's a little hard to see on my iPad, it's of a young man and he has blood smeared on his cheek, and that kind of tells you what you're going to be getting into. And if you don't know by the cover, you'll quickly know by the first scene, because that's Archer, who is our main character, forcing someone to write a suicide note before he makes him overdose on pills and kill himself. So yes, Archer is a serial killer, and that fact is made abundantly clear very quickly in the book. There are some definite Dexter overtones in this book, but Archer is not a typical, I guess you would say, sociopath, because although he has killed more than one person, he doesn't get a ton of pleasure out of it. He's doing it for a reason, a messed up reason, but still a reason in his mind. It's because of his best friend, Vivian. They've been best friends for a long time, and she was a really fun, kind of happy-go-lucky girl until she was raped when she was in high school. And now she's turned into this girl who just really goes from guy to guy, who treats her poorly, doesn't really have any self-esteem, and just isn't the girl that Archer has as a friend and whom he loves and has loved for a long time. So he seems to think that if he kills all the people responsible, then maybe Vivian will kind of understand that she doesn't have to be afraid of these guys anymore and she can go back to her old self. So that is why Archer, at least in his mind, is killing these people. Archer has a list of people that he's going to kill, and he's about halfway done when we first meet him. But there's going to be a couple of kinks in his plan. First is Evan. And Evan is just a typical guy, outgoing, fun, friendly, who is bound and determined that Archer is going to become his friend. And they meet on college, and Evan is very persistent in becoming Archer's friend. Archer doesn't have a lot of friends. He's very introverted, keeps to himself. The only two people he's really allowed into his life are Vivian and Vivian's mother. So he's a little put off by Evan at first. But Evan's persistent, like I said, and a friendship does blossom, and the friendship becomes a little bit more than a friendship. Evan starts showing Archer all these things that Archer didn't really think that he could have. A normal life, an ordinary life, things that Archer has never really had before. He comes from a very emotionally poor background with an abusive father and a mother who thinks he's a monster and isn't afraid of telling him that. So he starts seeing that maybe this life that he's created isn't the only one he has to have. But then someone finds out about what Archer's been doing. And I'm going to stop right there. I'm not going to go with any other spoilers, because I don't want to spoil you. This is a great book, and I wouldn't want to spoil anybody. So what I'm going to do instead is talk about some of the things that I really like about this book. And number one are the characters. Now, it's really hard, I think, to make a serial killer / maybe sociopath likable, but Kelley York does a great job. Archer is not just some two-dimensional killing machine. He feels remorse, and he has a conscience, and Evan kind of stokes that in him, and as they become friends, and then more than friends, Archer really starts thinking, wow, what have I been doing? What am I doing? Do I still want to do this? Why do I want to do this? He really starts thinking about his relationship with Vivian as well, which is kind of self-destructive. And I really like Evan, who could have been just a two-dimensional guy, saving the guy kind of thing, but he's not. He actually has, a lot of conflicting emotions and stuff about what's going on. He's a good guy, but he doesn't really allow anyone to steamroll him, so I like that too. I didn't like Vivian as much, but that's just because of the situation, and I'm not going to really discuss why, because if you read the book, you'll know why. Number two, what I really liked about this is that Archer is what I am going to call bisexual. I don't know, he never identifies particularly one way or the other, but he's in love with Vivian and he's in love with Evan. He falls out of love with Vivian, but still falls in love with Evan. So I'm going to call that. And I really like that because the author does a really good job with this. It's very seamless. There's not a lot of, angsty emotion. Archer's just like, oh, okay. And he kind of, accepts it very quickly about himself, and things start clicking into place with him. So I really like that. I really love Evan and Archer's relationship. I usually don't get that involved in relationships and books. I usually think, oh, I'd like them to end up together, or I'd like this couple to end up together. But I don't really get too involved. And let me tell you, with Archer and Evan, I was shipping them like crazy. I wanted them together. I didn't care how it happened. I just wanted it to happen. And I was just reading the last probably half of the book thinking, how in the world can this author make this couple happen once Evan knows what Archer is? And is Archer even capable of having a deep relationship with anyone, because he is so damaged and he's done a lot of bad things? So all those questions are answered. I'm not going to say how. I'm not going to say if it's a happy ending or not, but I will say that I was satisfied with the ending. I really did think that the author did a great job with the ending, and it came out really well for how I thought it should have been. I think it was a very realistic ending. It wasn't, oh, everything's tied up neatly in a bow, and Archer repents of his ways and gets away with everything, and they ride off into the sunset. That is not the ending this is. And I was glad that we didn't have that kind of ending, because I think it would have really cheapened the story. Another thing I really liked about this book is Archer's inner conflict with himself about growing up, how he grew up. He didn't really have much parental love or devotion or affection, and that really affected him later in life. Like I said, the only two people he really has in his life is Vivian and Vivian's mother. He doesn't have a relationship with his mother. He kind of sees her once in a while, but his mother doesn't want much to do with him. And as you find out later, you find out why in the book. I'm not going to say why, but I really feel bad for Archer, and I can really see, not why he thinks serial killing would be a good thing or a thing he should do, but I can kind of see how he got primed to lead that life. So I really enjoyed this book. I would highly recommend it to anyone who's looking for something a little bit different. Like I said, it is out of print in paperback form, but you can buy it for Kindle, probably Nook or something like that too. I don't know, I don't have a Nook. I have a Kindle, but you can buy it for a Kindle. It has ebook version. It was fairly cheap when I bought it. I think $2.99 or $3.99. I bought it several months ago. Never got around to reading it until now. But the book is really engrossing, really fast-paced, really just kind of everything I wanted it to be. And I think it's probably going to be one of my top 5 reads in 2015. So if you're looking for something that's a little bit dark, a little bit like Dexter, a little bit out of the ordinary, I would highly recommend Hushed by Kelley York.